Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lens, where we speak with global leaders on what's trending in the ecosystem. Today we have with us Marius Raush, who's the Regional Vice President for Microsoft Advertising and the International Partner Sales. Welcome, Marius. It's great to have you on the Leadership Lens.
Hi, Shani. Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to this conversation. Also looking forward to being at EdTech soon and meeting some of our amazing partners in India and more broadly in Asia.
Amazing. We really look forward to hosting you at the event. But before we start this conversation, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Microsoft?
Absolutely. So my name, you said that already, I'm Marius. I'm based in Germany. I run the business with our publisher partners basically everywhere outside of the United States or North America. I'm in this role for 2 years now. I came over with the Xandr acquisition, and I've been in AdTech for about a decade at this point.
Awesome, great. So a decade is quite a bit of time, but the last 1 year, Marius, has seen some amazing changes for Microsoft Advertising, be it its international footprint, be it enabling new monetization models for publishers, building an omni-channel platform that serves buyers, sellers. Can you walk us through the evolution of this business a little bit? What has really shifted in the last year or couple of years?
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And you already hit all the keywords there, right? So if you think about Microsoft Advertising and our legacy, right? We've really always been primarily a search advertising business. And search will always be a foundation of our business. And as we've all seen the last 12 months, there's still a lot of innovation going on with AI, the launch of Bing Chat, now Copilot. But there's really a lot more assets that Microsoft has in advertising, right? There's a social network with LinkedIn. There's a gaming platform with Xbox. There's an operating system with Windows. And there are multiple touch points across display native and video with Outlook.com and MSN. We see way more than 1 billion users every month, and have a pretty unique array of assets there. But what has really been missing were what I would say were two really key ingredients. Like one is AdTech, right? And we all love AdTech and talking about AdTech. And two is sort of a third-party publisher ecosystem that's attached to that. So what we did in the last year, we made two key strategic acquisitions. One with PromoteIQ, a market-leading retail media platform that is now Microsoft Retail, and then Xandr, a full-stack AdTech platform with a full offering for publishers, an ad server, an SSP, a DSP, and a marketplace that's been part of that. So with those acquisitions, we're really now in a position, that we can, make a full funnel and omni-channel offering to the market. Work with brands and agencies, whether they're small or big, right, to buy into our ecosystem, and work with publishers that want to be part of that ecosystem through our ad server and our SSP.
That sounds really wonderful, Marius. So you've been working in the European market for a long time now, and Europe is a very, very dynamic market, and Programmatic is making huge strides there, right? So what is your take on how the market is evolving in Europe and for the programmatic landscape there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I said I've been around in EdTech for a good decade. That's pretty much sort of like the journey of Programmatic over here. And I first got into Programmatic, I think, in 2010 on the publisher side, right? And I think what happened through that quite quickly is that, right, brands and agencies really got hooked, on the concept of being able to have, very specific targeting and audience-based buying, something they could not really do before, right? Publishers on the other side, appreciate the efficiency that comes with a more automated way of buying, being part of a marketplace. However, there have always been, a few concerns about what that means, right, for their for the way they owned relationships with buyers and brands, and Programmatic has evolved as such, right? So introduced the concept of private marketplaces and deals, Programmatic Guaranteed, right? That really enabled publishers and brands and agencies to negotiate and live the relationship basically in in a more automated and efficient way. So I think that's sort of like really been the journey and what is accelerated. However, right, even in Europe or even in the US, actually, still the market's not 100% programmatic. I said before, like we actually we have an ad server in market. That's a piece of ad tech and technology publishers use to run managed campaigns, direct sold business. That's still there, and that still has its fair share of the business. And I suppose that's going to be there for quite a while as well.
All right. So, Marius, when I look at Europe, what we say about Europe being a multi-country, multilingual, with people coming from different countries who behave completely differently. It reminds me a lot of India, where it's a multi-state, multicultural country, but Europe is a continent that is doing all of this. So that's a lot more people, right? How have multi-country publishers kind of responded to the challenge of content and product in different languages, considering the number of different permutations and combinations that they have to cater to?
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because I think language has really been, the thing that has protected a lot of publishers from sort of like the big global, publishers and content owners to like conquer, every last piece of the business, right? But there are a lot of like publishers here that operate in multiple markets, and a lot of them are our clients and partners, actually, and I think everybody in this world needs to find efficiency, right? And needs to find scale in a way. And I think publishers that operate in multiple markets, they have to be smart about like basically where do you keep things local? Like where do you keep value and value creation local? A lot of that has to do, for instance, with content creation, where you might take a concept and take that from market A to B, but you actually still do the actual development in market. There are a lot of efficiencies though that publishers find by centralizing specific functions. We see that a lot in the advertising world, actually, right? Where like the concept of creating centers of excellence, for instance, that either run ad tech or ad operations, right, directly or indirectly by sharing learnings across teams and across markets, has really been a driver of efficiencies. And I'm totally believe that AI is going to become, bring the next accelerator and the next fuel to this, because, one of the cool things AI can do, obviously, and, I actually use that myself a lot, operating a team across so many different countries, is, helping with language, with translations and so forth, and I think that's one of the first applications we'll see in our industry, right? Is like, how do we actually make a creative scale from country A to country B, from language one, to language two, without me having to, create a full new suite of assets, but let the computer basically and the AI do that. So I think that's the next, fuel, the next driver of this kind of development and more efficiencies for folks that operate across multiple markets.
So AI is likely to bring in far more efficiencies into the human side of things, and create a lot of scale there. And we're already seeing so much of it already happening. I'm an ardent fan of Copilot. Why not? So it just helps you put your thoughts in a place and then write it down properly. So Marius, along similar lines, I know you've not worked a lot in the India market, but one of the things with respect to content that we're seeing in the India market is that there are a lot of homegrown streaming broadcasters in India.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of competition from international giants like Amazon, your Netflix, your Disney, and all of them have now of late launched ad-supported tiers. So how can this competition work? Have you seen a similar situation in other countries? Where do we see this going?
Yeah, I mean, we see this everywhere, basically. I think, as what I mentioned earlier, like, I think local, so like publishers and content owners have this asset of, doing, having experience in like local content production, right? So, I know the big global streamers get better at that, but still, I think sort of like this is the element, that that you should double down on. It can also be in sports, right? It's really interesting, right? Obviously, in India, with cricket being so popular, I've definitely seen what Gio is doing, for instance, with the IPL there, right? But I think content is and will always be king. However, right, you have to compete and you have to innovate, around that for sure. Whether that's on user experience, right, where which is becoming incredibly important, a part of this as well, or whether that's in advertising, getting back to our core business, where you have to be able to to innovate, you have to be able to bring the scale in advertising as well, and the ease of use for buyers to tap into the inventory and the media that you have to offer. So, I think again, like focus on what you're great at and what you're good at, double down on that. But that doesn't that doesn't make you go away without like competing on innovation and scale when it comes to user experiences or how to run an advertising business.
Absolutely. So double down on your strengths and grow from there. There is always an audience. I mean, we are a really big country, so you will always
yeah.
have people ready to watch content. So as long as that content is speaking the language of the user, I think that is going to work. On the same note, you mentioned local sports and you mentioned IPL, Marius. Reliance just made a historical move. They made the IPL free for all viewers, right? Now, what does it really take to sustain an audience that large? And what is the upside for programmatic in live sports environment, you see?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that's a really, really bold move. And, I'm watching that super interested. Also think, we tend to talk about advertisers and publishers a lot, but obviously like, the user also, the consumer plays a big role in this. And like the consumer is an absolute winner in this, right? Because he or she gets access to the IPL now for free, basically with an ad-supported model. However, there are a lot of challenges, and technical complexities in this at this scale, right? One is, if you want to run an advertising business at that scale, you've got to be really good in forecasting, what you will have as potential inventory. And that's a hard problem. We've been in that problem for a long time. I said, we're in the ad serving business. Actually, it's going back 10 years now, but Xandr next before that, we made an acquisition in Yieldex at some point, which was a dedicated forecasting tool. And I think that's a key strength of the product suite that we bring, being very accurate and predicting and forecasting available inventory. So I think that's what you really have to focus on. So and predict what you will likely be able to sell, to basically adequately monetize this your investments there. And then the other side, I think programmatic can play a key role as well, because as good as you are in forecasting, you will never be perfect, right? And you will probably never really sell out everything that you have ahead of time. So you need this other layer of agility and flexibility in this, something that's dynamic, something where pricings can change and adjust to supply and demand. So if I would be running this, right, I think that's where I would be looking at, like, become really, really good in forecasting and try to be as specific and precise as I can, but then also smartly leverage programmatic technology, sort of like to have that ability and the flexibility to work with supply and demand on the spot.
Right. So I think that's where AI will also come into play and, have those contextual ads, or you have a dropped ball. This is the ad that plays.
Totally. I mean, like, I did not specifically call it out, but like, I mean, all these things that are happening, right? They are AI powered, AI infused, of course, right? It's not, when I say good at forecasting, that's not somebody sitting there with an Excel sheet and like predicting out what's going to be happening, but that's sort of like sophisticated technology, using in, taking in signals, taking in as many signals as possible to come up with an estimation of what will likely happen. And altering and evolving that as it learns more things and it gets new and fresh signals in.
So, like we said, India, big country, big scale, so many people, so many cultures, but our love for IPL we're united in our love for IPL. But Marius, can you share your views on what do you see as the opportunity in India, and what is your vision for Microsoft advertising playing a role in advancing India's programmatic advertising industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think programmatic industry in India is there's still a lot of opportunity and potential. We still find a lot of ways of running the business and technologies in the market that I guess we would probably call like legacy at this point. I think from a Microsoft advertising perspective, we talked about the ecosystem that we have and that we're building and that we want publishers and buyers and brands to be part of. Our ambition is really to deploy that full ecosystem right in India, grow it and scale it. Right, and you've mentioned that like India is such a big country. And I think, and I know this is a bit of a term that's been used a lot, but like it's a little bit of a sleeping giant in programmatic as well, and I'm really excited for that opportunity, right? Because, I think it's right there. It's also what we see is a lot of, technical knowledge and technical minded people in India, right? And we're bringing, technology with programmatic to this industry. So yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Marius. I think there were a lot of points that, the India ecosystem can take away from your experience in Europe and other countries. Thank you so much for the conversation today. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, looking forward so much to meeting many of you in person soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.